I am so tired.
Hey guys, it's time for another video, and this time I decided to do the longest ranking video ever on my channel. Now to do this, I decided to go into the Hunter's Journal in Silksong, which has a total of 236 enemies, but I decided to remove the bosses because I think it's unfair to compare bosses with enemies, and that leaves us with a total of 195 enemies. Now to do this video, I had to see all the footage from my playthrough, which was a total of 173 videos for a total runtime of 84 hours, which was a lot of fun. Besides ranking all the enemies one by one, I'm also gonna put them into classes from D tier to S tier. Now I normally don't ask for things, but this video took an insane amount of work to do, so if you could drop a like or a comment would be very much appreciated. And starting with the worst enemy in the entire game, at least for me, at number 195 and 194 we have the Squat Crow and the Squat Crow Jure. Now I absolutely hate these guys. Now they are a bit funny looking, yes, okay, I'll give them that. But Jesus Christ, like their flight pattern just throws me off so much. I probably die more times to these enemies than most bosses in this game. It's so hard to hit them, and they just keep like throwing 3 arrows, like the Primal Aspid in Hollow Knight. And man, they just annoy me so freaking much. I absolutely hate these guys. And at number 193 we have the Spit Squid, which is another flying enemy, who would have guessed. And I wouldn't be surprised if this enemy is at dead last for most people, because these guys, same as Squat Crow, they are crazy annoying. There might be even a little bit harder to hit than the Squat Crow, but the reason why I don't put them last is because I just love baiting them into this enemy and just see them getting killed. It is so satisfying. At number 192 I chose the Craggler. I mean, this is also surely on most people's worst list. I mean, all it does is just spit like these green things at us and it chases around the arena. And fighting him is extremely boring. Just have to hit him once and hide, hit him once and hide. I don't know, it's horrible. I don't even like the way it looks. So yeah, terrible enemy, let's move on. At number 191 we have the Termite. Now this is an enemy that appears in some of the most annoying moments in the entire game. He of course joins the Savage Beastfly in the second fight, where the floor turns into lava, which is amazing, and he deals double damage every time he hits us. He also appears at the Farfield's Gauntlet, where the floor disappears and you have them flying all over the place throwing fire at you, and it seems like this enemy has like aimbot. It's crazy with all the mobility we have, and I still get hit so many times by these guys. They kill me so many times. And at number 190 we have Driznarga. That's a hard name to say. And yeah, these are like the big daddies of a certain enemy, which I'm not gonna put on the D tier, but this one's I'm gonna put because, they're bigger. The things that they throw at us, it's also bigger, so they are more annoying. And it's like they always appear in the worst possible places, especially here in the Sands of Karak. They are so annoying in this spot. And I don't know, I have a lot of deaths to this enemy also as well, and they annoy the living shit out of me. I do like their design though. And our last enemy in the D tier at 189, I have the Muck Maggot. I just put him here because, I mean, if you fall on top of them, they will give you poison right away, which prevents you from healing, which is a gigantic bummer. And they are in bile water, and let me tell you, I kinda like bile water, but these guys make the traversal through bile water quite the nightmare, and they're even also on the boss fight together with Grohl the Grey. So yeah, they can make a nice journey into bile water to become an absolute nightmare. So yeah, D tier for them. Okay guys, now it's time for the enemies that are on C tier, and most of the enemies that I pick first on this list are enemies that just stand there and do nothing, but they're not like super annoying or anything. They serve a purpose, which is to get silk, most of them. And at number 188 I decided to pick the Crust Crawler. Now this is an enemy that you can only find in the Coral Tower, and he's just there for us to kill him and get a bit of silk. But I decided to put him last because most of the times he's so tiny that I don't even notice him and I just lose health instead of gaining. I mean, of course that I hit him and then I recover a little bit of silk, but most of the time I go against this enemy and it's not a lot of fun. So yeah, he gets the last place on C tier. Now it's time for number 187, and I've decided to go with Yuma. This is another enemy that you can only find on Coral Tower, and yeah, he just flies around and we hit him, we get a bit of silk. It's as simple as that. So this is an enemy there is no point in talking much about it. It's as simple as that, so let's move on. At number 186 I have the Brush Flit. And honestly, I didn't even know this was an enemy until I saw him in the list. I didn't even notice that I killed him, which is kind of funny. But yeah, they look cute. They look really, really cute. And as soon as they see us, they like fly away. So yeah, there's not much to say about this one as well. And the same goes for number 185, which is the Leaf Glider, another enemy that I had no clue that this was an enemy, just flies away as soon as we see him. But I gave him the edge over Brush Flip because I think he looks cooler. So yeah, number 185 for him. It's time for number 184, and I pick Servitor Ignin. Now this looks really cool, this enemy. It doesn't do anything at all except pointing us like a lantern at us or something like that, and it tracks us, so it's kind of useful, and it's super tiny. I don't know, I just think it looks very funny. So yeah, let's move on. It's time for number 183, and I decided to pick the Sand Carver. Now these guys were pretty memorable before the nerf, because especially when you were like doing the run back to the last judge, every time you would get hit by these guys it would take double damage. So yeah, I think they are memorable. Not so much for the people that play now, because like I said, they've been nerfed, but I also think they look very cool. So yeah, this is where I rank them. At number 182, I went with the Void Tendrils. I mean everyone that played Hollow Knight will remember this, but to be honest, I also don't even know how I killed them. Maybe it was like the ending when we get the flower and go in the direction to the final boss. So I don't know, I'm a bit confused, but when it comes to the enemy, you know, it's good to remember them because of, you know, the Hollow Knight, so there's a bit of nostalgia going on, but other than that, they don't do much. Number 181 goes to Driftlin, and I really like the look of these guys, and they remind me of one of my favorite areas in the entire game, which is Mount Fae. So because of these specific two things, I gave them the edge over the other enemies. But yeah, it's another stationary enemy that doesn't do much, just serves as a purpose to like pogo or something like that. So yeah, again, not much to say here. And for number 180, I chose the Garpit. Now this is another enemy that kind of doesn't attack you, it's just there to serve a purpose, which is to gain silk. But oh my god, they were crazy useful, because you find them at the cradle when you're like doing that thing that looks like a Path of Pain, but an extremely annoying version of the Path of Pain. So these guys saved my life many times. I had to go down many times to hit them over and over again to recover my silk, and they made it possible that I got all the way to the top. So yeah, they are very helpful. And at number 179 we have Steel Spine Kai, at number 178 we have Spine Beak Kai, and at number 177 we have Kai. Now these enemies are all pretty much the same, they look exactly the same, it's even hard to distinguish which one is who, and they're all at Coral Tower, and they can definitely attack you and take some health from you, but they serve one purpose only basically, and that is to recover some silk. So yeah, they're not exactly memorable or anything, but they are very useful. It's time for number 176, and I decided to go with Grom. Now these enemies, you find them in wormways, and they can be quite tricky because they can deal double damage, but at the same time they are super cool looking and they are crazy useful. Like every time I was low on health, I just hit them a million times and recovered all my health. So yeah, very useful enemy. At number 175, I went with the Void Mass. Now, these guys are not exactly a lot of fun to fight. They're just there in the ceiling throwing black things at us. But you cannot deny that if you played Act 3, this is one of the most memorable enemies in the entire game. Like, they even are attached to a certain wish that you need to do. So there's no way you're gonna think about Act 3 and not think about these guys. They are just that memorable. And at number 174, we have Mnemonid. And at number 173, we have Mnemonor. Now, these are some tough names to say, and these guys, they look like father and son. You know, you have the big one and the small one, and you know, if you saw them like in somewhere else in like a photo, you would remember right away of Mount Fae. They are kind of memorable. They're just basically to get to places by doing pogo on top of them, and if you hit them, they do spikes on them. So yeah, it's basically another stationary enemy that almost doesn't do anything, but yeah, they're kind of memorable. They look cool. Time for number 172, and I decided to go with Mothleaf Lagnia, and to be honest, I almost feel bad for putting them here because I really like the visual design from these enemies, and I think they fit so unbelievably well in Bilewater. But what can I say, it's another enemy that does absolutely nothing, so sadly I feel that I cannot rank them higher. It's time for number 171, and I chose the Farleaf Diver. Now we're finally entering enemies that do attack, and boy oh boy do I hate this guy. Now this is a version of an enemy that already kind of exists, but instead of attacking from, you know, right in front of us, this one hides at the top of a very dark place only to surprise us and take 2 max damage. Now this is a very annoying enemy. It almost went into the D tier. Now it's time for number 170, and I decided to go with the duck sucker. Now these guys are in the putrefied ducks, which is one of the worst, if not the worst area in the entire game. And man, every single enemy in this place is annoying as hell, and the duck sucker is no different. Like, this guy is incredibly basic, you know, he just does a charge like so many other enemies before him, but they sometimes put him in the worst places, and like they're in the hide in the darkness and you barely have time to react when you see them, and they do run at the same speed as us, so unless you react really fast you're gonna get hit, and of course they do 2 masks of damage. Also, I don't like their design at all. They are ugly as hell. And at number 169, I went with Lava Lug, and 168, I went with Lava Larga. And this is another situation where you have a big one and a small one, and they have the same attacks. Now, I don't have much to say about Lava Larga. They don't show up a lot in the game, and I mostly ignore them. But Lava Lug, oh my god, these guys were absolutely one of my biggest nightmares at the start of the game. Now, if there's an enemy in this entire game that I do not understand why they do 2 damage, is Lava Lug. Like, they look so friendly. I really like their design, and I think it's so unfair that they do 2 damage, man. Why? I just don't understand. If they would have given me just 1 mask of damage, I would definitely rank them higher, but they do 2, and they annoy the living shit out of me. It's time for number 167, and I decided to go with a Spear Scar. And now, as most ant enemies in this game, I do not like the visual design on this guy at all. I think he's one of the ugliest enemies in the entire game. And when it comes to moveset, he's pretty alright. I mean, he has a few attacks, nothing wrong there. But it's like these guys always appear in the worst possible moments. They're always in some gauntlet or when you're fighting like a mini boss. And I don't know, they are so unbelievably annoying, which is kind of expected because almost every flying enemy in this game is annoying as hell. As for number 166, I decided to choose the Wraith. Now, this enemy appears only at the mist, and oh my god, they are very memorable. I give them that because they made my traversal through that level a complete nightmare. They only have like 1 attack, let's be honest, but because we spend almost the entire run in this level on small platforms, they can be extremely hard to deal with. And because of that, I hope I never have to go through the mist of again if I ever do another playthrough of Silksong. It's time for number 165, and I decided to go with the Underpoke. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this enemy is kind of attached to my disappointment of the beginning of Act 2. Like, I was expecting to go into the Citadel and see some incredible, beautiful place with incredible enemies. Instead, we went into this really ugly place where everyone seems to be sick, and these enemies show up, and I was like, oh no, like another flying enemy. And of course, I'm probably gonna say this a lot during this video, but as all flying enemies, they are just so hard to hit. They are always moving, they're always going away from you. And yeah, I just was so disappointed with the beginning of Act 2, and this guy made sure that I wasn't having fun at all. Now it's time for number 164, and I decided to go with a Groomling. Now these guys show up only on the wormways, and I really like the way they look, the sounds that they make, but again, like so many enemies in this game, they are very well picked for the places that they show up to make your life a living nightmare. Now, even being able to kill them was kind of a challenge for me because as soon as I start hitting them, they go under the ground. So yeah, they pissed me off quite a lot, but you know, they're not like terrible or anything. Now at number 163, I decided to go with a Fresh Fly. Now these are some of the funniest enemies in the entire game when it comes to looks and sounds, but sadly they are attached to one of the worst bosses in the entire game, which is the Brood Mother. And they are there specifically to remove your precious silk. And they are very good at doing it because as soon as you hit them, they explode and like spikes show up. So even though they are very funny looking and they sound very funny as well, they can be quite stressful to deal with. And for number 162, I decided to go with the Drapefly. Now there isn't much wrong with this enemy at all. They are pretty average looking and they have like 1 attack where they fly from one side to the other. But there's no denying that this is just another enemy that is put into the worst possible places to annoy the living shit out of you, and it does its job well. Almost every single time that I found this enemy, it was always in this tiny place covered with darkness, and it was always a terrible time dealing with these guys. So yeah, not a fun enemy at all. It's time for number 161, and I decided to go with the Slubberlug. Now these guys look very cool, they look absolutely perfect for bile water, and they don't deserve to be here at C tier, but they are attached to one of the worst moments I had in Silksong. You know, I just got to the bench that was fake and I didn't have much health, and I was so freaked out with the idea of dying. And of all the enemies in Bylewater, the one that killed me were these guys, giving me one of the most painful deaths in the entire game. So maybe I'm not being very fair with their placement, but damn, that was so painful to go through. It's time for number 160, and I decided to go with a Cogware Defender. Now, I've always hated enemies with shields. Doesn't matter what game it is, I've always hated them, and this one is no different. Now, I don't know if there's a specific strategy to do damage on this guy, but I found it to be the hardest enemy to hit in this entire game. Like, every single time I would attack, this guy would use his shield to block. It doesn't matter if it was in front of him, behind him, on top of him, he would always block. So it was really getting on my nerves, and that's the reason why I put him in C tier. He looks cool though. It's time for number 159, and I decided to go with Skargar. Now, I found this guy 3 times in the entire game, and I absolutely hated all those 3 times, like especially the first time. Like the first time I fought this guy, it was crazy early into the game. I didn't even have dash with me, and this guy seemed like impossible. Like, I died so many times to him. Eventually, later into the game, when I found him again, I had more tools, and so he wasn't that bad. But it is an enemy that I think has an insane reach with his weapon, kind of almost unfair, to be honest. And being an ant enemy, you know what I'm gonna say, I don't like the way he looks. At number 158, I decided to go with a Mukrosh, and oh my god, these are probably one of the craziest enemy designs that Team Sherry has done. I don't even know what they are. They look like crocodile dogs or something. I don't know, they're just so creepy. And honestly, like, this is one of the scariest enemies in the game for me. The sound that they make, the way that they look, and I think they are a little bit unfair. I don't know, sometimes like they're just like running in the opposite direction, and they move so fast and they grab you right away, and they do 2 mask of damage, and you barely even notice that they do 2 mask of damage. I don't know, it just feels like a very weird enemy, but I don't think they're like that bad to the point of going to D tier, so I think they stay very well at number 158. It's time for number 157, and I decided to go with Driznit. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if every single person put this enemy in D tier, but I don't know, man. Like, I think they look cool, and yes, they are unbelievably annoying. They keep flying away from you. The thing that they throw in keeps bouncing around the walls, can get you killed in the weirdest ways possible. But like, this enemy means so much to me because it's attached to the last judge run back. And I think that was one of the most important moments in the game for me to get good at doing runbacks and doing pogo and climbing. Like, I don't know, it might feel like a dumb reason to put him here, but these enemies are really attached to probably my biggest memory of Act 1 in the game, so I decided to put him here. It's time for number 156, and I decided to go with a Claw Maiden. Now, this is, yes, 100% a good enemy. He has very good attacks, he looks very cool, but for the love of God, this is easily one of the most annoying enemies in the entire game. Like, this guy always shows up in the worst possible moments when you're fighting like this giant enemy, or when you're fighting like 4 or 5 enemies at the same time, and it just stays there flying at the back, stealing your precious silk, only to throw this thing at you, sometimes even off the screen, so you can't even see the attack coming, and it takes 2 health. So I absolutely despise the Claw Maiden. It's a very good enemy, yes. Is it crazy annoying? Also yes, so I cannot rank him higher. And at number 155, and the last enemy on C tier, I have Stilkin. Now, of all the enemies that I'm putting on this ranking, I would not be surprised at all if this is the one where people would disagree the most. I know that every single Silksong player absolutely hates the Stilkin, and for good reason. I mean, this is probably the most annoying enemy in the entire game, and not only that, but he's attached to Bylewater and he's attached to Grohl the Great, so there's an insane amount of reasons to absolutely despise this enemy. But I also think there's a very good amount of reasons to like him. Not like him, but at least don't hate him to oblivion. Like, he looks super cool, his attacks are very hard to deal with, so like, he's very challenging. And I also really like the factor that like you only see like a shadow of him and you never know when it's going to show up. So the unpredictability is very, very cool. And for that, I am gonna put him here at the top of C tier. Okay guys, now it's time for the enemies in B tier, and most of the enemies out here are pretty average, you know, they're like 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 enemies. They're nothing special in anything, but they're also not very annoying, they're just average. So it's the best way to describe them. They're pretty average. And the first one on this list at number 154, I decided to go with Crag Little. Now these tiny little dudes are basically the sons and daughters of the Craggler, and you know, I already talked about the Craggler in this list. I don't like the way he looks, but I absolutely love how their kids look like. They're super cute, and I mean, they're super friendly. They do nothing, they just stand there going from one side to the other. So yeah, they're super friendly, super cute. I mean, what's not to like? Now at number 153, I decided to go with Pendra, and number 152, I chose Pendragor. Now this is another situation of the same enemy, just in different sizes, and Pendra is like probably, if I'm not mistaken, the first enemy you see when you enter Lost Verdania, so it becomes memorable right away. And I also like the way he looks. I think he fits so perfectly in this area. And Pendragor, I mean, it's just a bigger version. It doesn't even have a moveset or anything, but because it's bigger, I don't know, it makes more of an impact, so I gave him the edge. Now it's time for number 151, and I decided to go with the Wisps. Now I'm a bit confused on this one. This is probably a bit stupid for me, but I don't know if the Wisps are, you know, the things that those red guys throw at us, or if they are those things on the Father of the Flame fight, or if it's both. But I don't know, I decided to see them as the ones on the Father of the Flame fight, and I think they feel really, really good to dodge. I think they are the best part of that fight. So yeah, even though they are average, they are pretty fun to deal with. Now it's time for number 150, and I decided to go with Imova. Now this is an enemy that I actually like the way it looks, but it's just another flying enemy that just goes from one side to the other, and the purpose here is to take us all the way to the top of the cradle. So yes, even though this is an enemy that doesn't do much, I like the way it looks, and it's unbelievably memorable because it's attached to one of the hardest moments in the game, so I decided to put him here. At number 149, we have the Skullwing, and these guys are attached to a much better thing, because the getaway from the abyss is one of the best moments in the game, and this is where I remember these guys. I don't even remember if they show up anywhere else in the game, but I 100% remember seeing them here because I really love going out of the abyss. I was hoping for something like this to happen in the game, so this was one of the best moments in the game for me. And I also really like their design. They have like these funny teeth. So yeah, pretty memorable, the Skullwing, even though they do nothing at all. It's time for number 148, and I decided to go with a Winged Life Seed. And I mean, this is nostalgia going on all over the place here, because I mean, if you played Hollow Knight, when you hit like these guys, you get like 2 blue masks, and my god, they were so important when I was doing the Pantheons on the DLC. That's, I mean, nostalgia really hits the park with this enemy. So yeah, 148 for them. It's time for number 147, and we have the Wing Molt, and guess what? We're still going on nostalgia. Like, this is an enemy that I don't even like that much visually, but man, I mean, who can forget these guys? They appear so much in the Path of Pain, and you will remember them right away. As soon as you see them, you're gonna go like, oh my god, look who's here. So yeah, big memories from these guys in Hollow Knight, so I gotta give them B tier for them. At number 146, I have the Shadow Creeper, and at number 145, I have the Shadow Charger. Now, this is another enemy that you saw on Hollow Knight, and yeah man, like lots and lots of nostalgia going on at this moment. It was so cool to see this guy in the abyss. I was like, right away I was like, oh shit, look who's here. So yeah, even though it's an enemy that barely does anything at all, I decided to put him here because again, nostalgia is a very powerful thing, and I absolutely love to see them. At number 144, I decided to go with a Cardanid, and this is an enemy that it's very simple. I mean, it just flies in your direction, but I do like his visual design a lot, especially like he does this face where it seems like he's like super determined into killing us. So I think, yeah, that's a neat detail, and yeah, I like him a lot visually, so yeah, I'm gonna put him here. And at number 143, I decided to go with a Cogworth Crawler, and at number 142, I decided to go with a Cogworth Spine. Now, these two enemies are not a situation where one is small and the other one is bigger. They're two different enemies, but I think they're extremely similar in looks, in attacks, and they belong to the same area. So even though they are extremely average when it comes to moveset, like they only have one attack, and it's kind of similar, they just throw spikes from them, kind of, but I think they look absolutely perfect for Cogworth Core, and that's why I think they deserve the B tier. It's time for number 141, and I decided to go with a Barnack. Now, let's be real here, this is one of the most annoying enemies in the game. Like, he just catches us and pushes us up in the worst possible moments, and they are in the Putrefied Ducks. I mean, Jesus Christ, this place is absolutely crazy annoying. But they are also responsible for helping us kill one of the worst enemies in the entire game, and they are extremely funny as well, because they can actually kill the cogwork flies that we have. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it happened to me. I don't have footage, sorry, but I saw it happen and it was really funny. I did not expect that. And they are also like, there's this moment where you have to catch a flea in this Putrefied Ducks, where you have to use them to jump from places to places, and I thought that that was a very cool moment in the game, to be honest. It's time for number 140, and I decided to go with Skrill. Now, this is an enemy that doesn't do anything at all, so he probably doesn't deserve to be here, but again, I know I'm going to use this word a lot. I'm sorry, but it's 195 enemies, what can I do? But the memories that this guy gave me were amazing, because it meant that I finished the absolute nightmare that it was to do the climb in the cradle area. So yeah, seeing these guys, and I think they were probably the last enemy I found just by myself. So yeah, again, big memories, but a very simple enemy. At number 139, I decided to go with the Farlit. Now, this is an enemy that looks cool, looks menacing, and it is dangerous. Like, the guy does 2 damage, even though it is incredibly small. And don't let him fool you, because the range of this enemy is also quite impressive. So yeah, every time I see these guys, I know I cannot mess around, because they can be quite a challenge. At number 138, I decided to go with a Cogwort Underfly. Now, this is another enemy that is nothing special, but again, I think that almost every single enemy in Cogwort, they just look so perfectly for the area that it's hard to give them like a negative score. And I like the way they look, so I decided to put them here. They're not annoying or anything, so they're just completely fine. At number 137, I decided to go with a Scafly. Now, this is an enemy that you can only find in the slab, if I'm not mistaken. And again, it's an enemy that doesn't do nothing outside of just flying around. But the visuals are very good. So again, it's so hard to rank these enemies because there are just so many of them. So I gotta go on visuals. And I like the way this enemy looks, I really do. At number 136, I decided to go with a Wood Wasp. And this is an enemy that appears in Shellwood. And only in Shellwood, if I'm not mistaken again. And yeah, I like the color and the look of these guys. I think they fit very well in Shellwood. They don't do much, like they fly in your direction as well as so many enemies that I just spoke. But they're like really fast and they can come in groups, so they can be quite annoying. But again, I think they're very memorable. And again, I do like the color palette a lot. I don't know, I don't think you see a lot of purple enemies in this game, so this one just feels different. At number 135, I decided to go with King Danir. And this is an enemy exclusive to Lost Verdania. And again, man, it's just, what else can I say? It's another flying enemy that just goes into your direction. But it looks cool. So I'm basically just going on looks at this point, so it's hard to even say anything differently. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of lost with words at this point, because all I get is flying enemies that come in your direction in this part of the ranking. So I guess it's better to move on to number 134, which you guessed it already. It's another flying enemy that comes in your direction. Now, this one, I think it's very memorable, because I mean, just his name reminds us right away of a certain boss that everyone hates. But this one is not so bad. I mean, it's a very tiny one. But when you fight the Savage Beastfly, he's also there to be extremely annoying. So even though visually is not that cool, I think is more memorable than the ones I've just spoke, because he's attached to that boss and because of his name. So yeah. And at number 133, I have Acnid, which flies in your direction yet again. I hope the next one is not the same, right? So yeah, this one looks very friendly, and it's one of the easiest flying enemies in the entire game. I think it doesn't fly away from you, it just comes in your direction. It dies in very few hits, so it's right away at the beginning of the game. So I think it's a cool, friendly enemy that looks really nice, and yeah, very simple to deal with. So I give him the edge because he's not annoying as the Beastfly is. And next, oh boy, another flying enemy that does nothing. else but go in your direction. So yes, number 132, I got the Fluttermite, I think that's how you say the name, and I think this is one of the funniest looking enemies in the entire game. Like, I mean, this one doesn't exactly fly in your direction, he just keeps flying up and down, but if you get close to him, he like flies in your direction. But yeah, I give him the edge because I think he looks crazy funny, like with those eyes and that little leg or whatever that is. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. And at number 131, I decided to go with the Nufar, and finally we have an enemy that doesn't fly. Now this one is just a platform where you jump on and you think you're safe, and suddenly it's like this type of flower that tries to eat you. Now I've seen this enemy done to oblivion in other games, so it's nothing new, but in a certain way it kind of reminds you of other games where you already saw this before, and it looks very good for Lost of Verdania, and it was kind of a surprise the first time I saw it, so yeah, it's alright. At number 130 we have the Killik, which is a very cool looking enemy. It's a guy that just moves in their direction, and when you're close to him, like, he has these spikes that come out of his body, so it looks awesome. I really like the design from this enemy. It doesn't do anything else other than this, but again, visuals do it for me a lot. At number 129 we have the Skull Scuttler, and at number 128 we have the Skull Brute. Now this is another version of small enemy that becomes a big enemy later, and the Skull Scuttler, man, this is a hard name to say. It's a very friendly looking enemy with funny teeth. I absolutely adore these guys. They are super easy to kill, and the Skull Brute was the first enemy that killed me in the entire game. So yeah, big memories from these two. They're cool looking, and again, the Skull Brute was the first enemy to ever kill me in this game. I still remember, even though it was many days ago. So yeah, let's go on to number 127, which is the Underscrub. Now for this enemy, I don't have much to say. I think the Underworks have some really annoying enemies, but this one is pretty alright. I mean, it's very similar to one other enemy that you fight very early in the game, and yeah, the same as that enemy, I like him. He's kind of cool. He jumps in your direction. He doesn't do much, but I also like the visual design of him. So yeah, for such an horrendous place, this guy is a breeze to fight. So yeah, it definitely deserves to be on the average rank. At number 126, I decided to go with Polenica. This is an enemy that you find in Shellwood, and it's basically like a flower that just keeps shooting yellow things at you. I guess it's pollen or something, I don't know. Not that I understand much about flowers, but yeah, I think almost every single enemy in Shellwood deserves at least an average ranking. So to me it was kind of a no-brainer to put her here. She's nothing special, she's not crazy memorable, but she looks nice, and again, it fits super well the world of Shellwood. And at number 125 we have a very funny kind of name, which is called Yo Mama. I mean, that's what it looks like. I mean, I don't know what the hell was Team Sharing doing when choosing these names. But yeah, but this is a like really big enemy that you only find in Coral Tower, and they pretty much just like fly in our direction and then they explode. But I don't know, I think definitely the name is the thing that I remember the most about this enemy. Like, I mean, Yo Mama, that's that's kind of really funny. And at number 135, I decided to choose the... Yeah, I am not gonna do this. Moving on. So at number 123, I decided to go with a Scarlet. Now this is one of the easiest enemies in the game for me. I mean, it's just this little ant that just comes in your direction and she just starts moving a little bit faster. And I don't know, I don't like normally the ants enemy designs, but I do like this one. She looks very nice. She's again very easy to kill, and she only has like these little ants next to her. I don't know if this only happens with her, but I think that's a neat touch. So yeah, I think they're very memorable. At number 122, I decided to go with Scarwing, which is another ant enemy, and I mean, it's pretty much the same as the Scarlet, but this one has wings, so I think it has the edge because it has the superpower of flying. I don't know, I'm just making some silly joke. Let's move on to number 121, which is the Marrow. Now this is another very strange name to say. I'm probably butchering so many names in this video by now. And this actually can be the first enemy you encounter in the game. If there's like 2 secret walls as soon as you start the game on your right side, and if you find them, he will be on the second one, and he does double damage right away, and you find him in this super tiny room, and so this actually can be the first enemy to ever kill you in the game. It wasn't mine because I didn't found him, but I can imagine this guy being super memorable for a lot of players. And at number 120, I decided to go with Drape Mite, and number 119, the Giant Drape Mite. So this is another situation of father-son or mother-son, something like that, where you have a little one and a big one. And this time, the reason why I like these guys the most is it's because I think they look like little ghosts. I don't know, there's the little ghost and the big ghost. And I like them. When it comes to moveset, it's very simple. They just do one attack, they jump at you, and it seems like they want to cut you into pieces. So they're very funny looking, and I really like them. Now for number 118, I mean, I have the Bloat Rope. Like, I can see not a lot of people agreeing with this because these guys are in Bilewater, which is an area that a lot of people hate. They only have like this move where like they vomit on top of us, but they feel scary. If they hit us, they do 2 damage. And I really like the fact that you have to hide behind the walls to avoid their attacks, and that you can kill them just by staying on top of them, doing pogo all the time. It's a really fun thing to do. Now for number 117, I decided to go with Meat, and number 116, Meat Mother, or Might Mother. I don't know what it's supposed to be. But this is like the little mouse and the mother mouse situation, and I don't know, man, cool design again. I know I'm repeating myself a lot. I'm really sorry for this. But it's just so many enemies, and objectives is not my biggest forte when it comes to speaking English. And the little mouse, like, he jumps at you as soon as he sees you, and while the Myth Mother, she kind of charges it on you. And yeah, I like them both a lot. They appear mostly on Greymore, which is an absolutely awesome area. But if I'm not mistaken, you can see the Might in other areas, but not the Might Mother. You can correct me in the comments if I am wrong though. Time for number 115, and I decided to go with the Firm. Now, this is a very funny looking enemy. It's this enemy that looks like this blue colored dude with some helmet in his head, and he just jumps at you, and he's hidden under the ground. Like, you never know exactly when it's gonna show up, and he can jump at you really fast, so you have to be a little bit careful with this guy. And normally he appears in really tight places, so he can be troublesome. You don't find many of these though in the game, but they do make an impression. It's time for number 114, and I decided to go with a Moss Grub. Like, this enemy, on cuteness alone, it deserves to be here on B tier. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was the first enemy that I found in the game. So how can I not love this guy? I mean, he doesn't attack or anything, it just walks around. But his cuteness factor and the fact that it was the first enemy I've ever fought, you know, it takes a place in my heart. Now it's time for number 113, and I have the Mossmere, which is probably the second enemy I found in the game. And I think these guys are a little bit better because these guys actually do attack you, and they do this funny sound when they attack you. So I give them the edge over the Moss Grub because of that. They are most identical, but at least the Mossmere has an attack, so yeah, they're a little bit better. It's time for number 112, and I decided to go to Plasmid. Now this is kind of an enemy that already exists in the Wormways, but this appears only on Act 3, and now he's a little bit different because he has this bluish color and he throws this blue ball at you. And yeah, I didn't find this enemy very cool in the first act or the second, but in here I think he's much better. I really like his attack and especially the color palette, so I brought him all the way up here to average tier. At number 111, I have Plasmidus. This is an enemy that only shows up in Act 3, and again, it's also like the Plasmid, it only shows up in the Wormways. And this is like a very cool looking enemy that just keeps spamming blue balls all over the place. Now, is it fun to fight? Not so much, but visually I think it looks very, very nice. And I'm just happy to see new enemies here in the Wormways because this area pretty much sucks as hell. So I guess these guys bring an improvement to a place that was an absolute nightmare. At number 110, I decided to go with a Deep Diver. Now, I think these guys are really, really cool looking. They don't do much. They pretty much do a charge from one side to the other and just keep doing it non-stop. But they're like really big and they look really tanky. I don't know, they feel strong as hell. And they do 2 damage, of course. So, I don't know, I like fighting them even though they are very simple. And again, of course, they look very, very cool. At number 109, I decided to go with Vaultborn. Now, this is an enemy that is only in one area in the entire game. At least I only found them in one place. And they do make an impression. I don't know. There's something about the way they look that is just weird. I don't know, they're kind of spooky, at least I think they are, and the way they move and fly is just a little strange. So even though they're not impressive in any way, shape or form, in moveset or anything, or even visuals, I don't know, there's just the creepiness factor or something that they have attracts me, so I put him here on the average ranking. And at number 108 I decided to go with Meyermite. Now that's another name that I probably butchered, and this guy is in Bilewater, and of all the enemies in Bilewater, I think this is the friendliest one because it doesn't do nothing. It's just standing there walking from one side to the other, or climbing the walls, doing his own business, and eventually you hit him just to get a surprise because he blows up and takes 2 masks of damage. So very, very cute enemy, and it's very good to see one in Bilewater, but the surprise factor can hurt you really bad. Now at the number 107 I decided to go with Craw Juror, and at number 106 with Craw. Now this is basically the same enemy, but one of them you see them on the boss fight Court of Crows, and the other one is just a standard enemy in Greymore, and they basically don't change anything. I think the Craw Juror has something in his head so that prevents us from doing pogo on him. But the moveset is the same, they fly from one side to the other and that's it. And I think that when you think of Greymore, you kind of think automatically in the crows. I mean, they are just some of the first enemies you see there, and you kind of hate them at first, but eventually, compared to everything else that we find in Greymore, they are actually really nice. They're not that bad to fight, and they look nice as well. It's time for number 105, and I decided to go with a Lamperer. This is another enemy that you only find in one place in the entire game, and I really, really like the design from these guys. I don't know, it's like every enemy around this area was built to make them look creepy, and it works with this one as well. And even though he only has one attack, I do like the attack that he does. He like throws a lamp at you. Therefore his name is Lamperer. So yeah, it's funny, and yeah, I do like the Lamperer. It's time for number 104, and I decided to go with a Leaf Roller. Now this is an enemy that you can only find in Lost Verdania, and I think it's one of the better ones in Lost Verdania. I think it's a very, very good looking enemy. It looks very friendly, but is not friendly at all because he does attack you, and I think his attack is pretty cool. I do like fighting these guys, even though they don't last long. So yeah, it's a very enjoyable enemy to look at and to fight as well. At number 103, I decided to go with a Puny Penitent, and with his father at 102, the Penitent. Now, of all the enemies in the slab, when it comes to visuals, I think these are my favorite. It's even hard to find which one of these two I like the most, because I mean the little one, of course, because it's so little, it's always super cute, but the big one is also, I don't know, it looks really, really cool. And I honestly think that the Puny Penitent, I only found one in the entire game. I don't know if this is the rarest enemy in the game, but I wouldn't be surprised, because I really just remember finding one. So yeah, I really like these guys. At number 101, and outside of the top 100, we have Pokenabin. That's another very weird name. And these guys are, you know, they're very typical, the flying enemy that just has only one attack. But again, they look so freaking cute. I keep saying this over and over again, and I still have 100 enemies to talk about. Oh god. But yeah, I like them. They sometimes are in very annoying places, so that's a bit of a minus, but the visuals do it for me a lot on this enemy. And starting with the top 100, we have Gallia. Now this is an enemy that you find in Shellwood, and if this was a ranking for the top 10 creepiest enemies in Silksong, I would probably put this one at first, man. Jesus Christ, this enemy seems like it was brought from like an alien movie. It's like he's hidden in this place, and then you see his neck growing like really long, and you see this alien head or something. It is so creepy, and I love it. What can I say? It's time for number 99, and I decided to go with Alita. This is an enemy that you find in the gauntlets in the Coral Tower, and I think these guys are like super stylish. They move like super fast. Hitting them, it's quite challenging sometimes because they look like Goku and they're teleporting around places. And I also like the attack that they do. They throw like a disc at you, so yeah, it's a fun enemy to look at and fight as well. And yeah, like the disc that they throw kind of reminds me of the Sisters of Battle, so yeah, good memories. At number 98, I decided to go with a Pilgrim Guide, and this is like a very cool looking enemy with a big big weapon that I wish I could steal a weapon from him and just banging some of the enemies for fun. Sadly, that doesn't work. We cannot steal the weapons from enemies, but this is one that I would really love to do it because I really like his weapon. Other than that, it's just like a really cool looking enemy with a nice moveset. It's time for number 97, and we have Chardillard. Like, this guy reminds me like of a chameleon right away because I had no idea this was an enemy. In fact, this was one of the enemies that I had to Google to, you know, to complete the entire quest of getting all the enemies in the game. There were like, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 that I couldn't find for myself. And this was one of them, and I would probably never guess because they just look like shards. They're very well in disguise, and yeah, as soon as they see us, they start bouncing around the walls. So yeah, it was a nice surprise, and yeah, probably one of the best hidden secrets in the game. It's time for number 96, and I decided to go with a Splinter Bark. Now this is an enemy that I think I saw for the first time on the boss fight, the Sister Splinter, and they were quite challenging in that fight because they do 2 damage and you still had to deal with the boss. But I think eventually then I found them in the Shellwood, and I do love their design so much. Like, seriously, in terms of looks, these guys are absolutely awesome. And from what I heard, I think they were nerfed, at least in the boss fight. I don't know if outside the boss they still do 2 damage, but I think in the boss fight they only do 1 now. And I don't know, man, I'm not so sure that was a good decision. But hey, it's not me who decides what to do with this game, so I mean, if they think it's the best for the game, go for it. At number 95, we have the Surgeon. Now, this is an enemy that is extremely rare. I think he only shows up in this one place where we have to save Sherma, and it looks super cool, man. I really wish this enemy showed up more times. I kill it so fast that I didn't even notice that if he had more than just 1 attack. I am giving him the B tier on looks alone practically, but I did went to check on Google, and this guy apparently has like 2 or 3 attacks, so I wish I could have seen him, but I just killed him so fast that I could not rank them properly. At number 94, I decided to put the Flapping Furtide, and at number 93, I put the Furtide. Now, these guys are all pretty much based on looks only. Like, seriously, I absolutely adore these enemies, and they're like friendly. They don't like hurt you. I mean, if you go against them, of course they will hurt you, but they don't attack, so they are like also very cool in terms of giving an atmosphere to the place, and I think they fit so well in the far fields. They are absolutely gorgeous, and I really like them, but because they don't have a moveset, I cannot put them higher than B tier. It's time for number 92, and I decided to go with a Crust Crag. Now, this is another absolutely spectacular looking enemy, and I only wish they had more attacks because I really think that this enemy had the potential to go really high if he had like 2 more attacks. But because it's just an enemy that just does a simple charge at you, again, I cannot give him more than the average ranking. I'm sorry, Crust Crag, I really like your appearance, but I just can't go any further than this. And at number 91, I have the Swamp Squid, which is probably my favorite enemy in Bilewater, which is saying something because, I mean, if your favorite enemy in Bilewater is on B tier, it really shows the quality of the enemies there. But I don't know, this one is all about visuals as well. He looks absolutely super cool, and I do like his attack, even though he only has 1. He does like a charge at you while flying. But I don't know, it's a very cool looking enemy, and if you kill him, he has one thing that almost no enemy has, which is he comes back to life. And it's also a really cool thing that you can do with this enemy, because if you lure them into the water, they will drown. So I really like these guys, but again, they're nothing special, so I cannot go any higher on the ranking for them. At number 90, I have the Winged Pilgrim Bellbearer. This is a long name. And this guy, it just seems like he's always in the worst possible places to fight, and he just keeps throwing like these bells from a distance and flies away from you. I remember very specifically at this one moment where you have to do like this climb in Shellwood, and there's like 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, that can get like really annoying. But on visuals, man, this is a super spectacular enemy. I really like them, and I like the sound of the bells, so I gotta give him average tier at least. It's time for number 89, and I decided to go with a Coral Firm. Again, this is an enemy that I don't have much to say. It's visuals. Again, this enemy just looks so freaking cool. He only appears in one area, which is the Sands of Carrack, and I like the way he does his own attack. I mean, the way he moves to do his charge attack. And I also like the color palette. This enemy fits so well with the looks of Sansa Karek. So he has a lot of good things going for it. But the moveset is very short, so again, it's hard to rank any of these enemies that I've been talking so far higher, because they just don't do much. It's time for number 88, and I decided to go with the Elder Pilgrim, and honestly, I don't even remember finding this guy at all. This was also one of the enemies that I am pretty sure that I had to Google to find. Because and when I wrote this name and I went to read about them on the wiki, apparently they're like super rare, and when I saw them I was like, man, I know this enemy. And that same enemy that I'm gonna talk about later is pretty much the same, but that one really caused an impression on me, because I mean, of course it was the first time I saw him, so this one was not anything new, but he is ranked way higher than this one. And at number 87, I decided to go with a Pilgrim Pouncer, and at number 86, I decided to go with a Choir Pouncer. Now, these enemies, they are both the same pretty much, they only have like a different clothes, but the moveset is the same. And the thing I like about them is that they are extremely funny looking. Like, they seem like they have like this coat around them, that they are like patients in like a lunatic house or something, and they jump at you like in a super funny way. I really like these guys, but again, they just have one move and that's it. It's time for number 85 now, and I decided to go with a Vicious Caranid. I don't think anyone will ever forget this enemy. This guy does 2 damage for every hit he does. He has a very good reach, and he's almost always in very annoying places, or he's next to platforms, or he's next to, savage beast flies. So yeah, this is an enemy that is very easy to hate, but I do like how challenging he is. And every time I kill him, I feel really good. So even though he's a bit annoying, the challenge is there, and I love challenges, so he stays in the average here. At number 84, I decided to go with a Pilgrim Bellbearer, and this is just another funny looking enemy that I absolutely adore. I don't know, I think almost every Pilgrim enemy just looks so good, and even if their movesets is super tiny, they will always get like at least an average ranking because of the looks alone, and this is the case for the Pilgrim Bellbearer. And it's also the case for number 83, which is the Winged Pilgrim. Again, super cool looking enemy, and it just flies around, and it just, as soon as he saw us, it just throws himself in our direction. And guess what? He has a twin brother in the Citadel, which is our number 82, the Choir Flyer, which does exactly the same, but I think his closing is a lot cooler in the Citadel. I really like the way he looks in the Citadel, so he gets the edge over the Winged Pilgrim. At number 81, I decided to go with the Underworker. Now, this is an enemy that I haven't seen that much in the game, because he's located in the Underwork area, but these guys cause an impression. I think that, they have a cool weapon, and they look like bandits or something. They really look like they mean business, like they're very serious, hiding behind the masks. And yeah, for that alone, I think they deserve to be at least in the average. And also because I'm not a fan of the enemies in Underwork, but these guys are pretty okay. At number 80, I have the Undersweep, and this is another enemy in the Underworks, but this one I think is a little bit better, because this is also another enemy that I would love to steal his weapon. Again, I really like the moveset from this guy. I really think that this is an enemy that I would love to see more around the game. Not that I don't think that it fits well in the Underworks, but I actually really like this enemy, and I really would love to see him more. But yeah, sadly he's stuck in the Underworks, which is the area that I'm not a big fan. Sorry for the fans out there, but yeah, gets average also. Now it's time for number 79, and I decided to go with a Splinter, and at number 78 I decided to go with a Splinter Horn. Now these guys are almost identical twins. I was so confused looking at the video and thinking which one is which. But if you've been to Shellwood, there's no way you're gonna forget these guys. They appear in a gauntlet, and they are pretty challenging, to the point that every time I would see these guys, I would totally run away most of the times. If I didn't have a lot of health, I would not risk fighting these guys. To me, they were some of the hardest enemies in the early game. They do not mess around, and for that I have to give them some praise. And at number 77, I decided to go with the Underloft. Now this is one of the best enemies in the Underworks, and it's still average, so it's not saying much, to be honest. But I think he looks alright, and I do like his attacks a lot. That I do like. He's an enemy that has more than one move, so that's saying something in this game. So yeah, like throws his weapon at you and he rolls in your direction, and you can actually parry his weapon, so that's a cool thing. So yeah, I decided to put him here at 77. It's time for a 76, and I have the Roach Feeder, and it's been a while since I talk about an enemy in Sinner's Road, and I guess this is another flying enemy that it's tough to deal with because he flies away from you a lot, but at the same time, like, this guy also chases you a lot. This is not an easy enemy at all, and he's always located in really tough positions, so I do like this guy because of the challenge, but he can be a bit annoying as well, definitely. Now it's time for number 75, and I decided to go with a Drape Lord. Now this guy looks badass. This looks like goddamn Batman. It's like a giant bat that only appeared to me one time in the entire game. I have not found this guy anywhere else, but I went to Wiki, and apparently there's another place where you can find him, and he did cause an impression. Man, I was not expecting that, because I spent the entire game just fighting mini version from him, and so when I saw him this big, I was like, whoa. But when it comes to movesets, again, it just flies from one side to the other. At least that's what I saw. I don't know if he has any other moves. So sadly, if he had a few more moves, he could go higher, but like the way it is, he has to be also just B tier. At number 74, I decided to go with a Cogwort Clapper, and this enemy right away reminded me of the Dung Defender if he was like a robot version. And I mean, I do love the design from this guy, of course, because it brings back memories, but in terms of fighting him, I find that he is a bit repetitive. I don't know, he has like 2 attacks where he just keeps bouncing on the walls, and then he leaves like this explosive device or whatever that is. And I don't know, man, it's just a bit disappointing because I just wanted so much more from this guy because of how he looks. He almost feels like a mini boss. I only found one in the entire game. So yeah, I do like him, but I really, really wanted more from him. At number 73, I decided to go with a Guardfly. Now, these guys are only on the slab, and man, I love the design from these guys. I look at their eyes, and it feels like they haven't slept in ages. It's just so freaking funny. When it comes to attacks, they like spit these balls that glue us to the floor, and then they attack us, and there's not much we can do. So it's a tough enemy to deal with. You gotta pay very attention to what he does. So I do like him quite a lot. At number 72, I decided to go with Iago, which is an enemy that you can only find in the Coral Tower. And man, these guys are so annoying. This is one of those enemies that just keeps flying away from you all the time. But I do like their attacks, and I love their design. And I don't know, man, like, I died a lot of times doing the gauntlets in the Coral Tower. And I really like almost every single enemy over there, and this one is no different. At number 71, I decided to go with a Scarstalker. Now, when it comes to design, I do not like this guy. He's another ant enemy. I'm sorry to the ant enemies fans, but I don't like the way he looks. But this is one of the most memorable enemies that you will find in the game because he shows up very early and he's tough as hell. Like, you need so many hits to kill this guy, and he has a pretty good moveset, so he becomes extremely memorable, even though I don't like his design, so I gotta give him at least average tier. At number 70, I have the Overgrown Pilgrim, which is another incredibly memorable enemy in this game. It looks like a snail, and his attack consists of spitting like this green ball at us. And this guy gets pretty annoying. I think when it comes to the pilgrims at the beginning of the game, this is probably the hardest one to deal with because he keeps jumping back and it's not easy to hit him at all. But at the same time, like, he's super funny and I love the sound that he makes every time he spits the ball at us. So yeah, I do like him a lot. Number 69, I decided to go with a Flint Flame Flyer, and oh my god, this is one of the most annoying enemies I've ever had to face in the game. Even for your ears, man. Like, every time the thing that it throws at us explodes, is it just me? Or it feels like they just ramp up the volume to 1 billion or something? I don't know, but I do love the way they look. I do love that the things that they throw at us, when it explodes on top of them, they like protect themselves or something. And they're definitely a big challenge, these guys, definitely. At number 68, I decided to go with a Flintstone Flyer, and this is another enemy that I think fits so unbelievably well in the era that he's at. And of course, I love his design. He's super funny looking, especially with that helmet in his head. It's really funny. He's like a more simple version of the Flint Flame Flyer, therefore I don't hate him so much when it comes to being annoying, so he gets a little bit of the edge here. At number 67, I have the Silk Sniper, and I bet a lot of people will not like seeing me putting this guy up here because, man, they are some of the coolest looking enemies in the game. Like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, whoa, this guy looks amazing. I bet he's going to be one of the coolest enemies in the game. but I think these guys are unbelievably annoying. Seriously, these are probably top 3 enemies that as soon as I see them, I just try to run away. I don't want to deal with them, and they kind of chase you because even if you go to a higher ground, the guys can like jump with you and they go to the same platform you're on, so they are really tough to deal with. At number 66, I decided to go the Pilgrim Hiker. This is one that only appears in the Blasted Steppes, at least that's the only place I found them. These are very rare to find, these guys, and of course visually, I mean, what can I say, it's a pilgrim, they always look fun and cute, and he has a pretty good moveset. I do like him a lot, and because they are so rare, I think that gives him also a little bit of extra points, so I decided to put him here at number 66. It's time for number 65, and I decided to go with a Snitchfly. These guys look crazy funny as hell, and like they move really fast, they are not easy to deal with, they jump at you and they steal your rosaries, and I mean, I can't help but laugh when it happens, but at the same time they can be pretty annoying, so it feels to me a little bit of a mixed bag enemy, so I think they stay well here at 65. At number 64, I decided to go with a Karaka, and these guys are only found in the gauntlets in the Coral Tower, and man, they reminded me right away from the boss, the Watcher at the Edge. They are very similar looking. The thing is, I think these guys are a bit too easy, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's kind of a bad thing because there's not a lot of challenge, but it's also a good thing because the gauntlets are so hard that every time I would see these guys, I was like, yes, I'm going to recover some silk. So yeah, these guys were so close from going to A tier, and I would put them there if they were just a bit more challenging. And at number 63, and the last enemy in B tier, the top of the top, we have Verdanir. Now these guys are insane, like they're easily the hardest enemies in Lost Verdania, and I think probably some of the hardest in the entire game. Like these guys just keep teleporting non-stop and they move absolutely insanely fast, and man, I do like their design a lot, they look super cool. And I would put them in A tier, really would, because they're challenging and they look cool, but I think they just teleport a bit too much to my taste. Seriously, sometimes I have no patience for these guys, and when it appears two at the same time, it feels almost impossible. So most of the times when I see them, I just sadly run away because they are super annoying to fight. Now it's time for A tier, and don't be surprised to see some strange enemies here that you do not agree at all, but to me visual design means a lot in this game, and because of that you're gonna see it right away, because my first A tier at number 62 is the Winged Firm. I mean, look at these guys, man. How can you not give them an A just based on appearance alone, man? Look at these guys, look at these eyes, look at their face, look at their big helmet on. Look at those wings. I mean, what can I say, man? They look so incredibly fun and cute and awesome. I don't know, I just adore these guys. I love banging the helmet on their heads and watch the sound, and you know, it feels like they get a bit dizzy or something. I don't know, they're just so incredibly cool. I mean, they don't have a moveset, they just go up and down, but I absolutely love them, what can I say? And the same goes for a lot of enemies next, because I have at 61 the Shellwood Gnat, and these guys are so lovely. It's just this little insect coming in your direction, and you hit them like 2 or 3 times and you think, oh, okay, that was easy. But then they like crack open and there's another bug even cuter inside it, and you almost feel bad for killing it because how tiny and cute it is. So yeah, a really nice visually looking enemy. And yeah, super overload cuteness. And at number 60, I decided to go with Squirm, and you can bet your ass that we're gonna have a lot of cuteness coming next, because the Squirm are so adorable, man. Like, these enemies only appeared in the Blasted Steppes, and they were one of the last enemies I beat, and I had to use wiki. I had no idea these were even enemies, because as soon as you fall next to them, they will go underground, so you have to play this music for them to show up, and they start singing. And I mean, how can you not, you know, like, melt your heart while watching this? It's so freaking adorable. So yeah, I gotta give him A tier. Number 59, I went with a Clover Stag. Now this is an enemy that only appears in Lost Verdania, and I think is one of the most beautiful looking enemies in the entire game, and it's also one of the best enemies when it comes to appearance matching the area. It's so unbelievable. I almost wanted them to have a moveset, but I don't know, it just feels like they're so beautiful that I don't even want to kill them. Like, I do it because I need this extra silk, and the Lost Verdania can be pretty tough, But man, I really love to see them just jumping in the middle of the wild. They're just so beautiful. I really like the clover stack. And at number 58, we're gonna continue with cuteness because I have the massive moss grove. Now, this is just the moss grove in a gigantic way, and I could not help but laugh my ass off as soon as I saw it. It is so freaking funny watching this enemy. And this one actually attacks you, like she can do a charge on you, so that's, you know, a little extra when it comes to the enemy. I probably would give it an A just for cuteness alone, but because she still has an attack, that made the choice extremely easy to do. Now it's time for number 57, and I decided to go with a Cogwort Cleanser. I don't know exactly what to say about this guy. I just really like his design and his attack. Like, the guy blows like these diagonal smokes to this, you know, from him, and man, that's a very weird way to say it, I guess, but I'm sorry for my English. And they're like super easy, and they're like in Cogwort, which can be a very tough area. So this is kind of an enemy that every time I see him, you know, I get happy because I'm going to recover a silk. I don't know if I've even ever got hit by the Cogwort Cleanser, but I don't know, I really like their design, and they are a breeze to see them because, man, I know I'm going to recover my health. Number 56, I decided to go with a Mauling, and again, cuteness overload to extreme. And it's not only that, it's not because they are super tiny and super nice looking, but they also remind me a lot of an enemy that existed in Hollow Knight. I don't remember his name now, but you probably know who I'm talking about. It appears right away at the beginning of the game. So yeah, it brought me memories, and it's super cute. I mean, easy choice for A. Number 55, I decided to go with Fascia, and I probably see a lot of people disagreeing with putting this enemy here. I mean, I think I already saw some comments in some other videos where people find the flowers extremely annoying, but I really like them, man. Like, you only see their little eyes, which is awesome. And then, you know, I do like their attack. They create like this explosion of pollen or whatever that is. So you gotta pay attention. And they can make your life really tough in Shellwood, so they bring extra challenge. And I do like that a lot. At number 54, I chose the Pilgrim Groveler, and again, cuteness overload. I'm sorry, I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but I absolutely love these guys. They're just walking on the floor, and then as soon as they saw us, they jump at us. They are so easy to deal. But I don't know, it's like I give them, like, you know, extra credits for them trying. You know, it's like they have no chance against us. They are so weak and tiny, but I don't know, I just love these guys. I don't know what to say. They're so freaking cool looking. At number 53, I decided to go with a Cogwort Hauler. This is probably another choice that you're probably gonna think it's strange, but I don't know, I think these guys, they don't show up much, but when they do, I think they cause an impression because they appear exactly at the worst possible moment that you can think of. There's always next to some lava thing on the floor, and you're in this tiny platform, so I do love the challenge that they bring. I also like the way they look, yes, but they're nothing of impressive. So to me, it's all about the challenge. They are always in the worst possible moments, and if you do not move fast, you're gonna get that explosion in your face, and you might just die. At number 52, I decided to go with the Drag Catcher. Now, these guys, you see them in Greymore, and they look absolutely amazing, and I absolutely love their weapon. Can I get that weapon in the DLC, please? I don't know, there isn't much to say about them. I think they fit perfectly in Greymore, and again, I love the design and the weapon. So yeah, I really like seeing these guys. They're not too hard to deal with, so yes, a very good enemy to recover your silk. So yeah, not much else to say. A tier for them, they deserve it. At number 51, I have the Gloom Sack, which are probably the scariest enemies in the game. I don't know, man. Every time I see one of these guys, I just want to run as fast as possible. But even if you run like really crazy, these guys can still catch you, man. And when they do catch you, man, like, the animation is creepy as hell, man. They are perfect, absolutely perfect for the Abyss. And for that alone, they deserve A tier. At number 50, I decided to go with Servitor Boron, and I don't know, man, like, I saw this guy on Montfey, and I was like, isn't that the little guy that I saw before, just bigger? And I was just going his direction, thought he was doing nothing but putting the lantern on me, and suddenly he like shoots this laser at me or something, and boom, 2 of my health gone, and it just keeps shooting over and over again, and I have to move really fast and keep the pressure on him to be able to kill him. And I don't know, that really caused a really cool impression of me. I'm a big fan of Montfey, and I think this is one of the coolest enemies out there. It's time for number 49, and I decided to go with a Roach server. Now, these guys are extremely rare. They only show up in the Chef Lugoli fight, and I absolutely love the way they look. They're like these flies that have like super dirty clothes, and they have like this big knife, and they just want to cut us into pieces. So I think they are a super cool, fun enemies to fight before the boss fight, and honestly, I just wish I could find them more into the game, because this too, I'm pretty sure they only show up in here, sadly. At number 48, I decided to go with a cog worker. Now, these are some of the funniest looking enemies in cogwork, and they're almost my favorite. They're not my favorite in cogwork, but they're very, very close. They look super cool, and they're super easy to beat. I don't know, fighting these guys is just a very good time, what can I say? It's time for number 47, and I decided to go with a huge flea. Man, when I saw this guy, I was so blown away. I had no idea we were gonna fight a giant flea, and even though like the moveset is almost non-existent, he just basically flies in our direction, but it was so unbelievably funny to fight him. I even cheesed him just for fun, and I had a big laugh. So yeah, not a great boss when it comes to moveset, but it's extremely funny looking, so I decided to give him the A tier. At number 46, I have Mortician, and the first thing I love about this enemy is the name. I mean, I really like that name, don't ask me why, I just like it. And the appearance from them, it's also very good. I think they fit very well in this area. And, you know, they have like 2 moves. It's not much, but it's, you know, most enemies, so that is something. And they're kind of challenging. At least I had some problems with them, so a lot of good things in their favor, so I decided to put them here at number 46. It's time for number 45, and I have the Burning Bug. Now, these guys only show up in this one area that is kind of a secret in Greymore, and man, they look so perfect to the place that they are. Like, seriously, they just keep teleporting and throwing fire at you, and I got my ass kicked big time by these guys. I don't know, I really enjoy fighting them, and again, I do think they look so unbelievably good for the place that they are. At number 44, I decided to go with a conch fly. Now, this is basically a mini version of the great conch flies, which is like a boss that you find in the blasted steppes, and I do like them a lot, especially when you fight like the enraged conch fly. I think they are such a good addition to that boss fight, and you can also find them in the sands of Karak, and even though they're like super simple, they only like kind of fly in your direction, I still think they're like super cool. I love the way they look, and they do remind you of that boss fight, which is a boss fight I like, so there's a lot of good things going for them. At number 43, I decided to go with a Skull Reader. Now, this guy kicked my ass a few times, and I do like his moveset a lot, but he does not deserve S tier to me because of the looks alone. Like, I think this is one ugly looking enemy. That's what I got to say about the Skull Reader. Cool moveset, very ugly appearance, but still deserves the A tier for me. At number 42, I decided to go with the Undercrank, and this is probably my favorite enemy in the Underworks. Now, this is one big ass dude that just tries to hit you with his big ass weapon, and he rolls away as well. And like, of all like the giant enemies that are in this game, this is probably the one where I deal the best. I don't even know if I ever died to this enemy, honestly, but I don't know, I just feel like it's really nice to fight this guy, and he looks alright as well, nothing special, but it's not an ugly enemy or anything. So yeah, of all the enemies in Underworks, I think this is probably the best, so I'm gonna give him the A tier. It's time for number 41, and I decided to go with Memoria, which we can find them in the Memoriam, which is kind of funny, the name of the enemy and the name of the area, and these guys look badass, like really badass. I really think they look kind of scary looking, and I absolutely love the attack that they just do, this like purple laser explosion. I don't know, I really like that attack, but strangely enough, I only found one of these guys. But I don't know, man, like I did went to check on Wiki, and apparently there's like 2 more, but I simply could not find them, which is a pity because I really enjoyed my only meeting with this guy. And at number 40, I decided to go with Maestro, and like the main reason why I picked this guy so high up here into the game is because it reminds me of a boss that I like a lot from Hollow Knight, which is the Soul Master. Like, he has these things flying around him the same way as Soul Master has, and it just really brought me so much memories. And I also love the visual design for him, and like the cog flies flying around them, and the color palette, it's also really cool that you don't get to see a lot of yellow enemies in the game, at least I don't remember much. So yeah, the memories here definitely have a big impact on me putting this guy here. At number 39, I decided to go with the Flint Beetle, and this guy, it's like a mini boss. You don't find many of these in the game. I think I found a total of 3. I don't know if there's more into the game, but I think I found them all. And I don't think I saw any difference between them, that it's always the same fight, but they do cause a big impression because you really feel like you're fighting a boss. It just doesn't simply has a name, but pretty good moveset, and his appearance is also pretty cool, and it's definitely challenging. At least it was to me. It did kill me quite a few times. It's time for number 38, and I decided to go with the Last Claw. Now these guys only show up in the Carmelita boss fight, and there's only 2 of them, and they are the last thing we have to fight before facing Carmelita. Now these guys are not like crazy hard, but they are definitely a challenge, especially because they are 2 and they just keep flying over our heads over and over again. And of course they do 2 damage. And for a change, this is an ant enemy that I actually like the visual, so a lot of good things in the Last Claw. This is a very good enemy. At number 37, I decided to go with a Dragwheel. Now I don't see a lot of people agreeing with me on the positioning of this enemy, but I don't know, I do like strange things a lot, and this is one of the craziest looking enemies in the entire game, and it's also an enemy that you only find in a certain boss fight, which is the Unravel. And it's not only his appearance that is kind of crazy weird, the way he attacks you, it's also very bizarre. So yeah, I do like him a lot. They do cause a big impression. It's time for number 36, and I decided to go with a Roach Catcher. Now these guys are so tough to deal with. Man, every single time I see these guys, I just feel like running away from them. But their super cool appearance and the fact that every time they throw, their weapon at us, you can throw it back at them, it makes for a very fun fight. These guys, however, can be in some horrendous place to fight them, so I don't know, I wanted to give them S tier, but again, they can be annoying sometimes, like really annoying. It's time for number 35, and I decided to go with the Pilgrim Hulk. Now the name from this guy alone deserves like to be an average tier right away, because I love the Hulk character in the Marvel movies, so that is super cool right away. So joining that with his super cool appearance and the fact that his attack is like really fun, it's just like constantly rolling and trying to hit us with that, I don't know. I think this is a very easy pick for A tier. It's a really fun looking enemy, and the name alone right away deserves an extra point, so what can I say? It's a really fun enemy. At number 34, I have the Pilgrim Hornfly, and again, this is definitely one where the cuteness overload is a big factor, because this is one of the most beautifully designed enemies in the game. At least I think they are. They are so incredibly adorable that, I mean, it's one of those enemies that you almost don't want to kill because they just look so freaking cool. So yeah, massive points for that. When it comes to moveset, it's a very simple enemy, but I cannot ignore the incredible visual design from this enemy. It's time for number 33, and I have the Choir Bellbearer. Now this is an enemy that already exists, and this one is exactly same as the other. It just throws bells at you, so you might find it strange that I put him here in A instead of B, like I did with the other one. But first of all, I think he looks much cooler here. I really like a little bit more the visual design here, and I think he fits so well in the Citadel. I know a lot of people hate this guy, but I don't know, I think he belongs extremely well in the Citadel, and he's definitely tough to deal with, and he appears in many important moments in the game, especially in some very tough gauntlets, so he's also very memorable. It's time for number 32, and I decided to go with a Kakri. Now this is an enemy that you only find in the Coral Tower, and this is one of the best flying enemies in the game in my opinion. They are tough as nails, they have some very hard attacks to deal with, and they're also kind of difficult to hit. They definitely made my life a living hell in the gauntlets in the Coral Tower, but I really appreciated the challenge, so I decided to put him here at 32. At number 31, I decided to go with a Vault Keeper, and oh my god, this is another extremely creepy enemy that sometimes will appear in the worst possible moments. I mean, there's one that like falls from the sky in like this super dark place where you can barely move. I mean, that was one of the most insane moments in the game for me. That was creepy as shit. So the creepiness alone from this guy is already a very cool thing for me, but he's also kind of challenging. I always find this guy is hard to fight, and it's really cool that at a certain moment in the game you can like throw these big things at them and kill them with that. I really love doing that, so yeah, these guys are like super memorable to me. At number 30, I decided to go with a Warden Fly, and this guy kicks ass, man. I really like fighting this dude. He's scary looking, and his moveset is pretty cool to deal with as well. I mean, this guy has almost everything I like in an enemy. The visuals, though, I find him a little bit of a mixed bag. I don't know if I do like him or not. So he is very close from S tier for me, but because he misses a little bit on the visuals for me, I just can't not push him there, even though I kind of want to. At number 29, I decided to go with a Smoke Rock Sifter, and oh my god, this is one extremely ugly name for one extremely very good looking enemy. Like, this is again one of the cutest enemies in the game. It's like this little guy that uses a shield in front of him and he just runs in our direction, and it's super fun to deal with him. He's not very hard, even though he uses a shield, but he's definitely one of the best looking enemies in the game, and I'm pretty sure that every single player loves this enemy, and I wouldn't even be surprised if some people would put him in S tier. They're just that good. At number 28, I decided to go with a Tread Racker, which is another weird name to say, and man, these guys are some of the hardest enemies in the game, man. Now, it's first of all their appearance. They're like super scary looking. I kind of like and dislike their appearance. I'm kind of a mixed bag for me. So yeah, that cuts a little bit of the points and the possibility of being an S tier, but when it comes to challenge, these guys completely rock. They are so freaking hard to deal with, and there are a few gauntlets where they like show up two of them at the same time, and I died so many times, man. But again, it's a very challenging, very fun enemy to deal with. So man, this one, it also hurts that I don't put him on S tier, but man, the visuals don't do it for me on this one. Sorry guys. At number 27, I decided to go with a Choir Hornet, and you're probably thinking, how the hell is this guy putting this enemy in front of the Tread Rack? Gotta be joking with me. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? This enemy doesn't give you any challenge, no. As soon as I see him, I'm like right away happy, because I know I'm gonna recover some health, because I almost never get hit by them. But visually, man, like, come on, this is like a 10 out of 10, these guys, man. Like, look at these faces, man. Look at the way they are dressed. They are just perfect, man. so yeah, this enemy does not have a moveset enough to go on S tier, but if it was on looks alone, definitely I would put these guys in S. At number 26, I decided to go with a Hardbone Hopper, and man, I absolutely adore the looks on these ones, man. Like, you see them like in the far fields, and I think that's the only place where you see them, if I'm not mistaken, and it took me like 1 second to fall in love with them. I didn't even care if they had a moveset or not. As soon as I saw them, I was like, wow, just wow, they look amazing. If only there was a bigger version from them with an actual moveset. If only. At number 25, I decided to go with a Scar Scout. Now, this is another ant enemy that kind of looks cool and has a proper moveset. These guys were some of the toughest enemies that I had to deal at the beginning of the game, so they absolutely cause a massive impression on you. And unlike many enemies that are challenging and sometimes I run away, these guys, I always want to fight them because they are crazy fun to fight. So yeah, Scar Scout, absolutely great enemy. At number 24, I decided to go with a Scallion, and to me, this is the best enemy in Lost Verdania. I mean, no contest. They look absolutely awesome. They are very hard to deal with. They will chase you through the entire arena, but you know what? I think this is a fair enemy. Unlike the Verdanier, which can sometimes feels like bullshit when he like teleports on top of you, these guys are a very, very good enemy, and I almost feel bad about myself for not putting them on S tier. At number 23, I decided to go with a Grand Reed, and this is one of the most memorable enemies in the game, period. I mean, every single person that has played this game will have gigantic memories from this enemy. Like, first of all, they're like huge as hell. They do 2 damage for every attack they do to you. They are very challenging, and the way they move, it's kind of creepy when they like run at you. And another very good thing about this enemy is that they give you like good rosaries. It's, if you want to farm, this is a good place for you to farm if you have the patience to fight them, because it takes quite a good amount of hits to kill them. But yeah, very good enemy, man. Very, very close to S tier. It's time for number 22, and I decided to go with the Tall Craw Juror, and at number 21, the Tall Craw. Now, these are the last enemies, the top of the top from the A tier. I almost went with S tier with these ones as well. I think this is one of the best flying enemies in the game. You find them in Greymore and in the Court of Crows boss fight. And yeah, man, I think these guys are tough, man, like really tough. Visual design, I mean, what else can I say? They look spectacular. But yeah, I think what attracts me so much in these guys, it's the challenge, man. You fight them in gauntlets, you fight them in a boss room, you fight them around Garrymore, and sometimes in like really tough places where you're like trying to get to high places and they just show up and they make your life a living hell. But they are fair, man. They are a very good enemy. When I was first doing this list, I actually had them in S tier, but I decided to put them down because they can be a bit annoying sometimes because, you know, of the certain places that they can show up. But man, they are crazy, crazy good. Okay guys, we have reached the S tier, which has 20 enemies, and be prepared to get angry because there are surely some enemies that you will not agree in any way, shape or form for me putting them here, and probably number 20 will do just that because I chose the Drag Husk. Now this is an enemy that only has one attack, but that attack alone and his appearance and the atmosphere that it gives to this area is just flawless in my opinion. There's a few different enemies in this place, but to me the Drag Husk is like perfection, is how to do like an amazing enemy with just one attack. Seriously, they are super creepy, they are super scary, and that one attack alone just creeps me out to oblivion, and that was 100% the intended reaction that they wanted from players, and they succeed perfectly. At number 19 I have the Cogwort Choir Bug, and these are my favorite enemies in the Cogwort area. I mean, they are like a 10 out of 10 in cuteness, 10 out of 10 in how fun it is to fight them. They only have like one attack, but I laugh my ass off every time they do, you know, like they start running with those tiny little swords or whatever that is and try to kill us. And I also love just throwing these guys off like the edges of the platforms for them to fall on the wheels. I just laugh so much. I mean, I can't take these guys serious. I just have a blast every time I see one. I laugh my ass off just by seeing them, and I laugh my ass off when I kill them. So yeah, absolutely awesome enemy. It's time for number 18, and I have the Smelt Shoveler. I think I decided to put this one as S tier because I think this is one of the best looking enemies for the area that is at. Their visual design is absolutely perfect. I really think they're like also super cute. They have like this cool helmet and that tiny weapon that they try to hit us, and they actually move really fast when they try to hit us, so you kind of have to take them seriously. And I mean, this is something I probably should not mention here, but they do remind me of a lot of this moment in Act 3 where you talk to a guy that is very similar or even the same as this guy's, and that takes you to the abyss by using a certain elevator. So that's a very important moment in the game, and again, I think it's one of these guys, but is like our friend instead of being an enemy. So I don't know if I should put that in here, but I kind of decided to do it. So yeah, S tier for Smelt Shoveler. Now at number 17, and this one absolutely no one will agree with me, but I chose the Stilkin Trapper. Now if you have done the Growl the Great boss fight and that gauntlet before him and that run back, you know that these guys are unbelievably important for you to get your health back. At least that's what I think. Now the run back is a nightmare, and then you start the gauntlet by fighting the goddamn bush enemies that will take almost all of your health, and then these guys show up and it's like a coming from God or something, because I know right away I'm gonna recover all my health back, or at least a good part from it, because I absolutely love fighting these guys. I mean, first of all, their appearance is a 10 out of 10. I love them, and they have one attack which is really cool. They like just go in the air and throw these things like these arrows at you or something. And again, they're not like super easy. It's all about where to position yourself, but I think they are so important in this game, because if it was not for them, Growl the Great would even be a bigger nightmare. So yeah, I absolutely love them. It's time for number 16, and I decided to go with the Rhino Ground. I think this was probably expected to be here. This is an absolutely awesome enemy in almost every department. I mean, this is pretty much almost like a boss. It just doesn't have a name. I mean, of all the enemies that look like mini bosses, this was probably the one that killed me the most, either him or the first Scarguard. So this guy was a pain to deal with, which kind of annoyed me a little bit, so that's why I kind of don't get to rank him higher. But I mean, he's in S tier. I mean, there's nothing better than that, but I don't think he deserves to be at top 10 though, because he can be very, very annoying. At number 15, I decided to go with the Roach Keeper, and man, this guy causes an impression right away as soon as you see them. I mean, of all the enemies in the entire game, this was easily one that as soon as I saw him, I was like, man, I do not want to get close from that dude. He means danger. And that's exactly what he is. He has like 3 or 4 attacks, something like that. And he is crazy challenging, and he looks intimidating, he looks cool at the same time, and when you kind of learn how to fight him, he actually becomes a super cool enemy to fight, and honestly, I just wish there were more of them. It's time for number 14, and I decided to go with a Gargant Gloom. This is an enemy that you can only find in the Abyss, and there's only 2 in the entire game. And man, this is one of the scariest enemies that you can find in the game. I mean, the area alone, the Abyss, is already creepy and scary as hell, but when these guys show up, oh my god, you just want to run away. At the same time though, they are incredible in the visual design department, and like you can pogo on them to kill them, but it's kind of crazy scary to do because they like throw these enemies, you know, the ones that fly and catch you in the air. So man, it's quite the experience fighting these guys. Definitely one of the hardest enemies in the game, for sure. So yeah, crazy memorable, these guys. At number 13, I decided to go with a Covetous Pilgrim, and this is easily the best pilgrim fight in the game. I think this guy, first of all, as soon as you see him, you start laughing because he has like this gigantic chain of rosaries around him, which makes you 100% want to kill him in any way, shape or form. This guy needs to go down because you want those rosaries for yourself. And then you start fighting him, and he actually has like a cool move set, and I do like the color palette of his weapon. So yeah, absolutely stellar enemy, and you get tons of rosaries when you beat him. So yeah, I don't need to say anything else. Absolutely top enemy. It's time for number 12, and I decided to go with a Heartborn Elder. Do you remember when I said that I wish there was a bigger version of a certain enemy that actually have a moveset? Well, here it is, the Heartborn Elder. The Heartborn Elder is exactly that, one of the most beautiful enemies in the entire game, and this time he looks big as hell and he actually has a moveset. And he deals 2 damage, so you should not mess around with these guys. Now, I haven't found many of these guys, probably 3 or 4 in the entire game, if that, but it was more than enough to cause that massive of an impression, because I really wanted the bigger version and with the moveset from the Heartborn enemy, and I got it here. At number 11, and just outside the top 10, I have the Minister. I mean, what a kick-ass name, the Minister. Now, these guys are some of the best flying enemy. I mean, of course they are. We're almost at the end of the ranking. And these guys are very rare. You don't get to see them much. You only see them in this one area. And I absolutely love fighting these guys. And you also get to fight them in this very important gauntlet, like probably the hardest gauntlet in the entire game, where you fight like 10 waves of enemies. And they show up quite a good amount of times there. And they cause a massive impression because they are super fair, super cool to fight. And their visual design is also brilliant. Absolutely stellar enemy, man. I just wish I could put him in top 10, but I can't. And now it's time for going to the top 10, my absolutely top 10 best enemies in Silksong. And at number 10, I decided to go with a Pond Catcher. Now, visually, this is my favorite enemy in the entire game. I think he just looks so unbelievably adorable. I just want a plushie from this guy. Please, Team Sherry, make one of these and I'll probably get it for my son. I absolutely love the looks of this enemy. And, you know, he's just there with his spear, like trying to catch the, you know, the things, the bugs under him. And if he saws us, he tries to hit us with that. And he can be a little bit tricky to fight, but yeah, overall, I have to admit that the visuals are the most important thing in this anime. I just love them that much. It's time for number 9, and I decided to go with a Korkrust Karaka. Man, another incredibly hard name to say. And this is an enemy that I think there's only 3 in the entire game, and they appear only on the gauntlets in the Coral Tower. And Jesus Christ, they cause a massive impression. Like, there's no other enemy like this one. Like, he throws like a billion bubbles everywhere around the map, and he's like flying around from one side to the other like really fast. And I absolutely love fighting these guys, man. I don't think I've ever died to one of these guys, and I guess one of the reasons is because as soon as I see them, I just want to fight them. They just look so freaking cool with all the bubbles and the way they look and their moveset. They just, I don't know, man. I just focus really hard every time I see one of these guys because they feel like a mini boss, and I always think think that, okay, this has to be the end of the gauntlet, so this guy, I need to take them super serious. And I don't know, I always had a blast fighting these dudes, so number 9 it is. I absolutely love the Core Crust Karaka. Now it's time for number 8, and I doubt anyone will agree with me, but I chose the Choir Elder. I mean, this was the first time I saw these guys. I know there's another enemy that is exactly the same as this one, but they are rare and I did not found them. But I did find the Choir Elder. But as soon as I saw the Choir Elder, I just wanted to throw myself on the floor laughing, because it feels like it's this old enemy that is just trying to kill me by sitting his ass on top of me. And I just laughed so hard as soon as I saw them. I mean, their visual design is absolute perfection, and they only do this one attack, but I don't know, they are super easy to deal with. They are an excellent enemy for you to recover your silk. So yeah, even though his moveset is very simple, it's so funny that one attack that they have that, you know, I don't even mind that they are so simple. I absolutely love the Choir Elder. It's time for number 7, and I decided to go with a Pond Skipper, and everyone is probably saying right now, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't know, man. I love these guys. Again, enemy in Shellwood means absolutely awesome, and I love these guys, man. What can I say? First of all, visual design. I love those big eyes. It's like they're glowing, and I love the way they are like on top of the water. It seems like they're gliding on the water, and you know, they like kind of don't attack you. They just go from one side to the other. So I really like killing them because they're super useful, you know, to get some silk back. So yeah, this is probably the craziest ranking that I'm putting here. I am totally aware of that, but I have fallen in love with these guys as soon as I saw them, and I really wanted to put them on my top 10. And honestly, you might hate it, I feel good about my choice. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. It's time for number 6, and I decided to go with a Judge, and I almost cannot believe myself that I'm choosing an enemy with a shield to put in my top 10 enemies in Silksong, but the Judge is that good. First, visuals, I mean, it's a cool enemy. I'm not gonna say it's top tier, it's not a 10 out of 10, maybe like an 8 out of 10. It looks cool, definitely, but not out of this world. But fighting these guys to me was one of the biggest challenges in the game. I mean, the fact that I also had my weapon at like +0, I did not upgrade my weapon, but I needed to hit these guys like 10 times or something like that, so it was always like these long battles, but I was loving every second of it. Most of the enemies, if I have to hit them lots of times, I would probably get bored, and I was like, Jesus, for the love of God, just die. But these guys just feel like an awesome fight, and they are in one of my favorite areas also in the game. I love that you have to fight a few of them on the way to the last Judge, so I really wanted, you know, that the last area of Act 1 was hard as hell, and these guys are a big reason why it succeeds on doing that. At number 5, I decided to go with a Choir Clapper. Now, these guys only show up in this one place, and there's only 3 of them, and that place will be one of the most memorable moments in the entire game, because it's probably the hardest gauntlet you will ever face. And like, this is one of the most unforgettable moments in the game for me, because as soon as I saw him, I died right away, and I was like, oh my god, you have to fight like a mini boss after 4 waves of enemies. And when I finally beat him, I was like celebrating like crazy, and I was like, I did it, and suddenly the enemies just keep going. 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 2 of them show up, and I could not believe myself. I thought that the makers of Silksong were completely out of their mind. How the hell am I gonna beat 10 waves of enemies with 2 of these guys at the end? But you know what? The fight is fair. Fighting both of them works really well, and the feeling that you're gonna get when beating this gauntlet is one of the best in the entire game. So yeah, I don't even care. These guys are connected to one of the best moments in the game for me, so they get the top 5. At number 4, I decided to go with the Envoy, and oh my god, like this is another 11 out of 10 enemy when it comes to visual design. I also really like their weapon, especially when they're like running in our direction with it, like doing a charge, and it's so freaking fun. It's also like an enemy that is like an 11 out of 10 when it comes to being funny. I don't know, I kind of find it hard to take them serious because of how they look and their weapon. But, you know, they can be a bit challenging, so there's that. They look perfect for the Citadel, And like, I don't know, everything in this enemy is just so good. How can I not give him an S tier? So yeah, I decided to give him number 4. I just love these guys. And number 3, and I think also not a lot of people will agree with me, but I decided to go with a Reed. Now this is the best flying enemy in the game, period, and it's the most memorable as well, period, and it's one of the most challenging ones as well, period. And he's in the Citadel, which is amazing, one of the best areas in the entire game, if not the best. So yeah, I what can I say? These guys are absolutely stellar, and I absolutely love the insane challenge that they bring. Like, there are so many of them in the Citadel, but you know what? I think I fought almost every single one of them because these guys are just such an incredible fight. I really like the Reed. Yes, they can push your buttons, they can make you die many times, they can make you angry, but I still want to fight them again and again and again. So top 3 for Reed. Now it's time for number 2, and that goes to Karakor, and this is an enemy that I'm almost 100% sure everyone will absolutely love. First of all, visual design, absolutely perfection. They look so incredible, and when it comes to moveset, my god man, just the charge alone, I really love the way they start running in our direction and just start banging with their feet on the floor. And I honestly wish that the Crust King Khan had the same charge as they do, because I don't know, man, like, I like Khan, but I think he needed a few more moves, and I wish he would borrow some from Karakor, because this enemy is absolutely phenomenal. And man, I just wish I could fight more of them. But yeah, they cause a massive impression. They almost got first place. They are that good. But at number 1, I decided to go with Choristor. And yeah, this is like the perfect enemy for me. Everything is a 10 out of 10, or you can even say an 11 out of 10. Visual design, moveset, difficulty, fairness, everything is perfection. I absolutely love this enemy to oblivion, and of course he's also in the Citadel. And like, even fighting 2 of these guys at the same time, it is fair, man. It's such a good enemy, and like, it's not super hard or super easy. It's just like the perfect level of difficulty fighting these guys. They have like 3 or 4 different attacks. I like the way they're like jumping, hopping around when they're fighting us. It's super cute to watch. And yes, they are without a doubt my favorite enemy in Silksong. Now, I hope you liked watching this video. It took forever to make. If you could please drop a like or a comment, it would be super appreciated. And please tell me, of course, which one is your favorite enemy in the entire game. I'm very curious to know, and if I can, I will answer all the comments. So yeah, I do apologize for repeating myself quite a lot, but there's 195 enemies, and the fact that, you know, English is not my native language, sometimes it gets hard to find adjectives for things. But you know, I really sincerely hope you enjoyed watching this, because man, it was really hard work. So yeah guys, stay well, and I see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.